Hey guys, what's up? Today I have a review for you and it is on Dark Companion by Marta Acosta. I got it from the library near my house and it was in the news section. It's a pretty decent sized book. I'll show you what the font looks like. It was a little over, I think it was close to 360 pages. And that's what the font looks like. And before I start talking about the book, I just want to say something that I really loved about it. And it was at the beginning of every chapter, the author wrote, she put in a little passage from really old literature. And they were all from different books, but it was just so cool. Like this one, they all just have to do with what is going on in the next chapter of the book, but it's just, they're all really mysterious, and I just loved it, and I was so excited every time I got to a new chapter because I knew there would be an old passage that I got to read, so that was awesome. So right here on the front it says, compelling and romantic, a Jane Eyre for the modern age. Now I love Jane Eyre, so I was so excited to pick up this book and read it because I knew that I would really enjoy it, and I had such high hopes for it. So I took a lot of notes that I want to go over because I don't want to leave anything out. So let's start with the main characters. So the main character's name is Jane, and she is from a very broken town named Helmsdale, but she calls it Hellsdale because it's like hell. It's very poor. She how do I say it? She just she has no parents, and she was brought up in a foster care system, and she hated the place where she lived. Her caretaker really just didn't even take care of her or any of the other kids that lived with her. She kind of just took the money from the government and was whatever, you guys can take care of yourselves. So Jane was brought up to be very independent and just, relied on no one but herself. But she did have a best friend named Hosa. I think that's how you say it. Hosa, and he was her best friend, but he actually got really sick and died, and that's not a spoiler. You find that out in the first chapter. But she thinks about him all the time in the book because he always just did the right thing, and he taught her so much. So really he was like her parent, even though they were only 5 or 6 years apart. And she also has a best friend named Wild, who is not into good things. She turned to very bad and poor life decisions because she disliked her life so much. And throughout the book, I actually feel really sorry for her because there are so many young girls out there who turn to bad life decisions when things get rough. And I just really wanted to help her throughout the book. I'm like, you don't have to make these decisions. You can get your life on track and do something, but throughout the book, you just get so frustrated because you really want to help her. Well, at least I really wanted to help her. So Jane gets this wonderful scholarship to a school named Birchwood Academy for Girls. And she gets this scholarship because she worked really hard at her school after Hosa died because she was she didn't really have anything to live for anymore, and she really wanted to better herself and get out of Hellsdale. So she worked her butt off and she got this scholarship to Birchwood. And Birchwood is basically the main setting of the book, which I loved. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about Birchwood because really it's just the idea of a huge, beautiful campus with all these gorgeous birch trees. And while I was reading it, I could picture everything, which I love. You guys know I'm huge with sensory detail. So I was just every little thing, I could picture it. If I could paint and I was actually good at art or something, which I'm not, I suck, I could paint you guys a picture. That's how much I loved it. So Jane's so lucky and she gets to go there, and it's a whole new world for her because all of the girls are, brought up from rich families and, just have proper manners and they speak properly, and Jane's what is this? She's not used to it. She's really not comfortable. But she's so happy because she gets her own cottage to live in, her own house at the age of 17. So I thought that was awesome. I was I would love to have my own little cottage and a beautiful, landscape with lush gardens and whatnot. So she loves the campus, but she's kind of skeptical about the people. And the headmistress, named Miss Radcliffe, who is the one that recruited Jane to come to the school, asks Jane if she can tutor her son, Lucien, or Lucky. He goes by Lucky. And he is the youngest of the two sons. There's Jack, who I think she didn't really give a specific age, but I think he's supposed to be like 21, because in one scene he like ordered a beer, and I was like, oh, so he must be like obviously over 21. But he does, he goes to like an art school for music. He's really talented, and this is Jack, the older one. Whereas Lucky, the one that Jane has to tutor, is more of like, he's described as a tool. He kind of is just like, you know, thinking about himself all the time, very self-centered, doesn't really care about other people, blah, blah, blah. But he's supposed to, she describes him as being gorgeous. So, of course, Jane, you know, is attracted to him, and she wants to help him. But in the book, towards, like, the very middle, you find out that Lucky has a terrible, like, gross, not normal habit. And I can't get the habit away because that's, like, literally the whole book. And as much as I want to tell you guys about it, I feel like all of you guys would be like, okay, you just spoiled everything. So I can't talk about it as much as I want to. But it's a nasty habit, and he needs to use Jane for his habit. And Jane is like, what did I write down here? I can't find it. But Jane, she's just really like a broken person because she's never been loved. She's never been cared for except for Acosta, but he's not here anymore. And so she lets Lucky use her for his bad habit. And honestly, you guys, I was a little grossed out in the book. I was kind of like, you know, I read very similar books to this. A lot of YA similar books, like, use this sort of topic. But the way that the author approached it, I feel was a little, like, jumpy. And I feel that if she would have maybe described it, like described the event when it first happened a little bit more instead of just jumping right into it, I wouldn't have been so freaked out. But I was freaked out. That's just me because I was not expecting the book to take this sort of turn. So she lets Lucky use her for this habit, which made me so mad because I was like, you know, you could be such a strong girl if you tried. You know, don't like give any peer pressure. You don't have to say yes to everything just because he's cute and he's the son, or he's the headmistress's son. So his brother Jack finds out that Jane and Lucky are getting close, and he sounds a little bit like protective, even though Jack in the book has a girlfriend who becomes one of Jane's really good friends. Her name is Haiti, and you're introduced to her right in the beginning of the book. So yeah, so that's a little weird. You're like, why is he being protective if he has a girlfriend? And Jack's a little out there. He's in his early 20s, yet he talks about magical creatures, and he calls Jane elfing and just, you know, really odd things that I feel like an early 20-year-old wouldn't be saying. And I feel like the author tried to portray Jack as like an artsy type, you know, with like the whole music and, you know, like nature, like lover type thing. But to me, it came across off as like a little bit of like nerdy and just odd and out there. I mean, she describes him way different from the rest of the family. You know, he doesn't look like them. He's always off doing his own thing. So basically the plot is Jane, you know, is helping Lucky with his habit and everything, and it's does she really want to keep doing this? Does she prefer it here over Hellsdale? Does she want to stay here? Does she like her friends? But the book, besides the part where it totally weirded me out, the book itself was overall really interesting and fast-paced. I read it in like, I think 2 days, so pretty fast for me. But overall, it was a good book, but in my opinion, it was not great. I hate rating books because I feel like I always just takes me forever to think, but I guess I'd give it a 3.5 stars out of 5. It was pretty good. It's fast-paced. If you want a fast-paced book that will keep you on the edge of your seat, then totally pick this up. There wasn't really any dull moments. And I really like the cover, too, and like the whole forest, because that kind of, when I was like imagining the book, is like what these, you know, the trees are just like really tall and beautiful and everything. So yeah, again, that is Dark Companion by Marta Acosta. I picked it up at my library, but if you're interested in buying it, it is $17.99 for the hardback in the US and $19.99 in hardback in Canada. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I start back up work Monday, so in 2 days, so I'm going to try and film as much as I can, but yeah. Hope you guys are all doing well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.